Hi, and welcome back to the Heart and Health Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Welch, and I'm so glad that you are here. If this is your first time tuning in or watching, I'm just really happy that you are joining us, and I want you to know that this is a place where it's safe to totally relax and just take in what you are hearing and hopefully learn from it. And then I invite you to try and apply at least some of it to what you're doing in your daily life. For those of you who don't know me, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist with nearly a decade of experience working with individuals, couples, and families and helping them figure out how to live out better biopsychosocial spiritual wellness, which is basically a mouthful way of saying that we take care of your brain, what's happening in your body, what's happening with you emotionally, what's happening with relationships, and then also how you have meaning and purpose in life. Very happy that you are here. If you did not hear last week's episode, I would invite you to go back and listen to that because it kind of sets the stage for what we are talking about today. Last week, I introduced a new kind of reframe or way of thinking about self-care as something that is not just something special that you do every now and then or a luxury, but that it is something that you have to do in your regular routine and daily living in order to be the best version of yourself so that you can be the best version for other people as well and all of your many roles that I know that you play. Today, we are going to talk about the physical or biological components of self-care and how engaging in regular routine self-care helps you have better overall wellness and specifically those physical components of why it's important. So I want to really try today help you separate diet and exercise from your definition of biological self-care. I know those are very hot buzzwords that we hear a lot, but it is so much more than just diet and exercise. And then it also has to do with being in tune with your body, just kind of knowing those rhythms that you have and getting rest and all of those things. So that's what we're going to dive in today. So just know it is a safe, comfortable place to sit back, relax, and hopefully learn. So I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us. So to start with today, I want to go back quickly to what we talked about last week and just that it is not, self-care is not a luxury. It's not something special or unique that you do every now and then. It should be something that you are doing on a daily, regular routine basis so that you are doing it in a preventative way and taking care of yourself on a regular basis rather than a reactive way where you're responding to something stressful that's going on in your life. But sometimes people kind of overlook the day-to-day choices that we make for our bodies because they focus on how self-care is something more lavish or something visible that you see and are less aware of what's going on with us internally, physically, biologically. And so when we think of that biopsychosocial spiritual domain, obviously today we're focusing on that biological component. So what is going on inside of you and how do you take care of that so that it influences everything else that's going on with you for wellness? So we're not going to just focus on food and physical movement, although those are certainly parts of it, right? But we're also going to think about your body's rhythms and needs that can tune us into what your body needs and really being able to focus on those little signs that come up for you. I like to make the example of your car, and I'm laughing because I'm not always great at this, but your car will give you signs on your dashboard when something is wrong. And if you are smart, you will take care of those as soon as they pop up and go have someone who's a professional help you identify why those little symbols are popping up on your dashboard and figure out what's going on so that you can fix it. And that usually helps you take care of the issue when it's coming up at the very beginning before it turns into a much larger issue. Now, I have definitely been known to drive around with a light on my dashboard for a while, but we're going to do as I say, not as I do. Okay. So your body's cues are similar to that, right? It's going to tell you when you're experiencing pain or if you're feeling lethargic or just kind of achy or nauseous or whatever. Those are cues that something is going on in your body and you need to pay attention to that and correct so that it doesn't become an even larger issue. And so that's what I'm going to focus on today, diet and exercise are part of that, but not all of it. Definitely not all of it. So, first of all, why does this biological piece even matter? Well, I can assure you that if your physical body is not doing well, these other parts of your wellness, your relationships, your emotional health, in your purpose in life are going to be strained as well. And people who deal with chronic pain or these hidden illnesses that they're dealing with all the time certainly know that to be true. It influences the rest of your life and your well being. So, when we can take care of ourselves physically, our body, that is the foundation of our wellness, and it will trickle out into the rest of those areas. So, really being able to take care of your body at its core is the core of your wellness and overall well being. I hope that makes sense. When you neglect how your physical health is, the rest of your body also suffers. So many people try to override those signals or ignore them in favor of trying to be extra productive or meeting social expectations. And so sometimes we're not so great at taking care of ourselves physically because we need to meet some other deadline. And I'll give you an example of how this happens in my life. And typically it's with sleep, where I feel like I need to be getting caught up on a project or doing something with one of my little side hustles. And so I'm like, I can wait on the sleep part. I need to get this done. But maybe it's not great because I'm on my phone. I've got the lights in my eyes. None of that is good. And my body is saying, Melissa, go to sleep. You're so tired. But I feel like I have to push on because I know I'm going to beat myself up if I don't meet those goals and those deadlines. There was a time in the past week where I said, you know what? I know that I'd really like to be productive in this way and meet this goal that I set for myself, but I can really tell that I'm tired. And I know that I'm going to have to wake up tomorrow at the same time I always do because my baby alarm clock is going off. And I don't get the chance to sleep in or get caught up on sleep. So now is my chance to go to sleep and get the rest that I need. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, the difference between just getting sleep and actually getting rest. But now is my chance to get that sleep that I need. And so I'm going to listen to my body and I will take care of the productivity stuff later. And lo and behold, I woke up the next morning feeling much more refreshed, was able to get caught up on the things that I was worried about being behind on in the first place. And I was really glad that I listened to myself. So that's an example of, you may maybe know that you're not alone, that I too am not great at always listening to those signals from my body, and a success story of when I did. And I was really thankful that I did. And maybe you can use that as motivation to also listen to your body when those signals are coming up. But it's hard when we have people asking us to do things or jobs that are demanding or just social norms when family wants to spend lots of time doing X, Y, and Z. And you feel like you have to do that instead of just giving yourself rest. And just know that that's very normal and very difficult, but it's important to be able to set those boundaries up for yourself so you can be in tune with your body and do what it's asking you to do. I want to interrupt myself very quickly to remind you that as you are thinking about incorporating some of these new activities or behaviors into your regular wellness routine and self-care routine, that I have created a daily, weekly, and monthly wellness tracker for you that are completely free. And you can use those to check in with yourself to see how you're doing, if you're working toward your goals, and if these behaviors and techniques are being incorporated on a regular basis, so you can make sure that you are working towards that overall wellness like you want to. So if you want to check out in any of those, whether it's the daily, weekly, or monthly, I've got links for those all listed down below. All right, let's get back to it. So what does biological self-care actually include? Well, there's 4 things that I want to talk about. First is nutrition, movement, sleep, and rest, and then also taking care of your nervous system. So we'll walk through each of those things real quick. First of all is nutrition. I want you to try and reframe your brain when you think about food. Instead of it being something that has strict rules or using that word diet, rather think about it as an opportunity to provide nutrition and energy and fuel to your body. So we want to nourish our physical bodies and allow us to have energy because of that nourishment, rather than focusing on foods being good or bad. And when we get into that mindset of foods being good or bad, it turns into this very emotional way of eating rather than it being specifically focused on my body needs fuel to run my brain so that it can move and do what it needs to. And so I'm going to feed my body what it needs, right? So, if you don't know already, I'm a bird nerd. definitely a bird nerd. When birds are eating, they either eat seeds or they eat bugs, right? And they're not being picky about what's a good seed or a bad seed to eat. They just know that this is what fuels my body. This is what I need. And in many ways, because we're humans and we've overcomplicated so much of our lives, we turn food into something that is much more than just fueling our body. And there's definitely a time and a place to enjoy food and make it beautiful and enjoy the act of cooking and all of that. But instead of labeling foods as good and bad, I think it's much healthier to think about, is this going to fuel my body? Is it going to be something that I enjoy? Is it going to leave me feeling energized, or is it going to make me feel sluggish, right? So really shifting our mindset from, is this something that's good or bad, to something of what helps me feel fueled the best. What gives me the most energy, and focusing on doing that for your body rather than following specific strict rules. Also, when you experience hunger cues, that is a normal bodily reaction that is happening because your brain says, hey, we need to feed ourselves. And it is much healthier to respond to that by giving your body something that's going to fuel it, energize it, rather than saying, no, I shouldn't be eating and going into starvation mode or later falling into a binge eating routine. So when you notice those hunger cues, honor that. Give yourself something that's nutritious, good for you, that your body will appreciate, and allow that to just be a normal part of the process. Now, I do also want to recognize that sometimes we have worked ourselves into a routine of emotional eating. And we could do a whole episode series on emotional eating, right? I do recognize that sometimes we think we are hungry when really it's our body looking for a way to relieve stress or relieve anxiety and find comfort. And there's a lot of science that goes into that. When we eat, it can ignite that pleasure area of the brain. And so there's real science to that. It's really happening. It's really making you feel better. So when those hunger cues come up, I think it's good to develop a practice of being able to say, okay, I'm noticing that I'm hungry. Now I'm going to check in with my body. Am I feeling stressed or anxious or bored? And so I'm looking for comfort? Or is it because I haven't eaten and I'm actually hungry and I need to fuel my body? Then decide what's actually going on there. If it is, I'm actually hungry, I haven't eaten, I need to fuel my body, give yourself something that's good and nutritious and going to give you some energy, and be done with it. And if it's something emotional, ask yourself, is there something else that I could do that would help me to feel better, feel more relaxed? Do I need to do some deep breathing or some mindfulness meditation or go for a walk or whatever it might be? Is there something else I could do that could meet this need other than eating food that's not going to fuel and energize me? I hope that makes sense. I know that's a very complex challenge that many people face, and I'm not trying to be, flippant about it at all. But I do want to recognize that sometimes that is a challenge of recognizing whether hunger cues are legit, your body needs food, or there's some kind of emotional piece there. The second point is movement. So I want you to reframe. I'm doing exercise because I ate the whole pizza yesterday and now I have to punish my body or make up for it or burn enough calories to burn away all of the pizza. So something that we're not doing in a reactive way, but instead doing a proactive way because it is enjoyable to move your body and connect with your body. Okay. So to have a stance of gratitude for what your body can do for you and how you can move it, rather than focusing on having to go to the gym to make up for what I already did. Right. I hope that makes sense. So we're reframing exercise from something that's focused on weight loss or maintaining weight even, to something that is focused on giving our body energy, building strength because it feels good to have strength, and to regulate our mood. There is so much science, and we should probably do a whole episode on this too, about how regular exercise, 30 minutes a day, is just as good, if not better, than most of the antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications out there. And I'm not poo-pooing on your medication. I think if you've been prescribed medication by your doctor, you should absolutely continue to take it as prescribed. And there is so much evidence for just moving your body being a really significant way to treat those conditions. So we're taking exercise from something that is negative that you have to do to something that is joyful and enjoyable and fun that you get to do because it feels good, not because it is an obligation. So for me, physical activity is not usually at a gym lifting weights. I joke that lifting my 30-pound toddler should be exercise because he's quite heavy these days and it should definitely be counted as a physical exercise. However, the things that I enjoy when I've had the opportunity to do it in the past, I always love a good yoga class. I just think it's fun and nice. I've done hot yoga. I don't know if that's your thing, but I think that's fun. Love doing a cycle class. That brings out so much joy for me because there's fun music and there's people, and it's just, I think it's fantastic. I've always enjoyed dancing. For me, it's again fun with music and moving your body and just getting that heart rate up. You don't have to go anywhere for that. If you don't want to pay for a gym membership or you've got kids and you can't go anywhere, nothing is holding you back from turning on the music and just moving your body. My son likes to watch things like Danny Go. If you're not familiar with Danny Go and you have a little one, you should definitely check it out. Danny Go has toddlers moving around. And if you try to do it with them, it is a workout. You're moving your body and getting that heart rate up. And I think it's also important to point out that the purpose of exercise or physical activity for the purpose of improving your physical health is more than just moving your body in a regular way that you would day to day, but increasing it enough that it's getting your heart rate above and beyond what it normally would be. You can break a sweat a little bit. You don't have to, or increasing the weight that you're picking up. So yes, picking up my toddler is great, but if he weighs 30 pounds, maybe I should be picking up 40 pounds kind of thing, really challenging your body. So doing something that is fun, energizing, enjoyable, and challenging. And then going through this process of gratitude and really appreciating what your body can do for you. And if you have a disability or there's something that's limiting you in a physical way, it's okay to also appreciate the other aspects of what you can do, right? Without diminishing the challenges or the limitations that you do have. Yes, that might be difficult. And here's what my body can do, and really being grateful for that. There's plenty of evidence to show that expressing gratitude for what we do have, even in context of limitations, can really help our mental health in that way too. So, just a point there. Finding what's joyful, connecting with your body rather than looking at it as a punishment. I'm going to take just a second to interrupt myself here. I talk a lot about being a toddler mom, so I imagine that there are other young parents, especially young moms, who are listening to this podcast who can relate. If you are a new mom who is breastfeeding and you would like to find the perfect nursing cover, I would encourage you to check out the Cocoon from We Are Ama. It's breathable, it's fashionable, it's comfortable, and most of all, it will allow you to be breastfeeding in public in a confident way. And I absolutely loved mine. Also, if you're not a new mom, but you know a new mom who would need some new mom essentials, or you want to give some kind of thoughtful gift, maybe for a baby shower, check out We Are Ama. So We Are Ama is offering 15% off your entire purchase if you use the code Melissa. And I will leave a link for them down below for you to check it out. But their website is We Are Ama. That's AMMA, weareama.com. And you just need to use that code Melissa, MELISSA, to get 15% off. Again, I love everything that I've gotten from them. I think they're a really wonderful women-owned small business, and they love moms and taking care of moms. So check them out. Number 3 is going to be sleep and rest, and really recognizing that this is something that we often neglect because we are in a society that's go, 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 busy, busy, busy all the time, and realizing that sleep is such a crucial foundation for our well-being. Because when you sleep, and more than just getting some sleep at night, but really getting enough sleep that your body is able to rest and recharge. Your brain goes through an entire process when you're sleeping of getting rid of information that it doesn't need, getting rid of toxins and things in your body that it doesn't need, and it rejuvenates itself every single day. So when you truly get a good night's rest, I mean, think about when was the last time that you had a really good night's rest, that you slept through the night, you got enough hours of sleep, you woke up in the morning, you usually feel really good, right? Like you're like, that was fantastic. I'm going to call out my mom for a second, but she jokes that when she wakes up in the morning, waking up is a small trauma. She's like, oh, I hate the morning. I'm not like that. I'm definitely a morning person. If I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, I feel good. But I would argue that even if it is a small trauma for you to wake up in the mornings because you're not a morning person, if you've gotten a good night's rest, you probably feel good physically. And I don't think we give ourselves the opportunity to really feel that way as often as we should. It is crucial to be getting rest so your body can recuperate, not just getting sleep. Okay. I think the number is still somewhere, they say around 8 hours of sleep per night for an adult. Children obviously need more. But it does vary how many hours of sleep you need based on your age, but also just individually. Everybody is different. Some people say they run great off of 6 hours. That's not me. I need more, and I know that about myself. So I need to be better about giving myself the opportunity to really get good sleep. And also, if I could figure out a way to keep my cat from yelling at 4 a.m., that would help me too. Anyways, all that to say, sleep is crucial. Restful sleep is paramount. And so it's really, really important that you make that happen. One of the ways that you can help do this is by building a very supportive sleep routine or bedtime routine that will help you wind down at the end of your day and signal to your brain, hey, we're getting ready for sleep. And then it can transition into that deep, restful sleep so it can rejuvenate the way it needs to. I've talked a lot about how I have a toddler. And when he was getting to the point of being, we didn't do official like sleep training, but getting him into a bedtime routine so he could sleep in his own crib and all of that, it was really important to me to have a structured routine that we do every night that's close enough, similar enough every night that he knew what to expect. So he was getting ready for bedtime. So for us, that looks like after we eat dinner and he's played, we pick up his toys together. We do that together as a team. Then we go pick out his pajamas. We go get in the bathtub. After bath time, we go read a couple of books on the couch, usually. And then we go to his room, and sometimes I sing, and sometimes he's like, bye, mommy, ready to go to bed, and just wants in the crib and wants to go to sleep. But that was our structured routine. So now when we're picking up, he knows what's next. He knows that once we get his pajamas, we're headed to the bathtub. And so his brain is going through those steps of this is the routine. This is what we do. I know what's coming next. And that includes sleep at the end of it. And most nights he doesn't fight it at all. He gets in his crib. He's ready to go out and he sleeps great, which is fantastic. We as adults are the same. We need some kind of routine to signal to our brains, hey, it is time to shut off, turn off everything mentally, and be able to go to sleep and rest tonight. So whether that's doing the dishes, picking up around the house, getting into your pajamas, washing your face, showering, reading a book, whatever that might look like for you, it's very helpful to have some kind of consistent routine that's the same most nights, not every night, but most nights. So by the time it gets to the point of turning off the lights and going to bed, your brain is ready to shut down. Now, I will say one of the things that I encourage people to do, that again, it's better to do as I say, not as I do, is to not be on your phone for at least 30 minutes when you're getting ready to go to sleep. Now, an hour would be fantastic, but I don't know if that's realistic for most people. But trying to be off of your phone for at least 30 minutes before you're going to sleep. And if you are going to be on your phone late at night, make sure that you're using a blue light filter on your phone because it's going to help block some of those lights that are telling your brain, hey, wake up. These screens are not natural for human beings. They're just not good for us to have in front of our faces all the time, especially when we need to be winding down. So if you can, find a way to reduce the amount of screen time you're getting. And that includes phones and TVs before bed. That would be really, really helpful. If you want to incorporate something like reading and having a soft light to show you, what's on the page, that's fine. But even reading on a tablet or something like that is not ideal. And if you're going to do that, make sure you use a blue screen or blue lens glasses or whatever they call that to help block out some of those lights. Okay, I think that's plenty for sleep and rest. We'll move on. Okay, so the last one is taking care of your nervous system. So this can include things like doing breath work and hydration and really making sure that we are managing our physical responses to stress. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about breath work. I think I've talked about it before, but really having a daily practice of slowing down your breath, doing deep breathing where you're breathing in for a few seconds, holding for a few seconds, and then blowing back out for a few seconds. And doing that for a few minutes can be really, really good for your overall well being, physically, mentally, all the things, right? So incorporating that is going to be really helpful. But the reason that it's helpful to your biological health is because that when you are breathing deeply and slowly, it significantly influences the cortisol levels in your body and actually decreases the cortisol levels in your body. And it does that by activating the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you are taking those deep breaths, I like to explain to patients, instead of being in fight or flight in this like back of your brain, the reptilian part of your brain, it allows that oxygen to get into your brain to come back to the prefrontal cortex and be able to make decisions, right? So when we're in a stressful situation during the day and we need to be able to think clearly and not be reacting emotionally, it's helpful to take those deep breaths to help us calm down. Same thing to be true for when we're getting ready for bed. So if you're taking those deep breaths at night or throughout the day, it helps your brain shift into kind of more relaxation mode and regulate the parasympathetic nervous system. I hope I didn't make that too sciencey. I hope I explained that at a basic level. If we need to talk more about that, let me know in the comments or send me a message. So this activation leads to a reduction in those stress hormones like cortisol. Okay. And so it helps us feel more relaxed and have a calmer mental state. So engaging in those slow, intentional breaths can be really helpful to not just our physical well-being, but the emotional well-being as well. What's really fun, if you have a smartwatch like I do, my smartwatch tells me what my heart rate is. When you have a smartwatch or some kind of heart rate tracker, if you can do some deep breathing and watch what it does to your heart rate monitor, it's really good, what we call biofeedback. It's your biology giving you feedback in the moment of what you're doing. And you can see how taking those deep breaths can bring your heart rate down. So, lots of good things that are happening when you're taking those slow, deep breaths. I really encourage you to incorporate that at least once throughout the day, every single day. If you can do it more often, fantastic, but a really, really good practice to be engaging in on a regular basis. Second point about that is hydration. So, having chronic dehydration is one of the worst things that you can do for things like brain frogs, brain fog, and fatigue. It's really, really important that we get enough water throughout the day. And now that I'm talking about that, I'm thirsty, so I'm going to take a sip of water. So, good. Couple of things about that. Soda doesn't count as water. I don't care if it has water in it. It does not count. You need to be drinking water. You are bored of water and you can't drink as much as you'd like to, add some lemon to it. That's what I have in my water right now. Lemon, lime. Lime is my favorite. You can use the, sugar-free Crystal Lights and things like that. It does help. I really like the Propel one. It's not sponsored. I just like the one. It doesn't have sugar in it, which is nice, and it gives it a little fun flavor, which changes it up. But if you can just drink water, so good for you. Our body is made up mostly of water. And when we don't drink enough water, we get dehydrated. It restricts how things are able to pump and flow like they need to inside. That's my really basic way of describing why we need water. Our skin feels better. Our skin is clearer. We think better. There is so many benefits of getting enough water. Now, a general rule that I like to follow is that you should be drinking half of your weight in ounces per day. So for someone who weighs 200 pounds, you should be aiming for 100 ounces of water a day. And I know that is a lot. And if you're not used to drinking a lot of water and you start drinking this much water, you are going to have to go to the bathroom a lot. But guess what? That is good for you because water goes in and then it flushes out the things that you don't need. So it's good to be doing that. Also, if you're having to get up and go to the bathroom every couple of hours, you're getting up and moving your body and walking to the bathroom. So lots of pros that come with drinking more water. If you want to get a water bottle that has, the timestamps throughout the day and it shows you if you're where you need to be, great. That works for some people. If you need to use water bottles so you can count how many you've drank, that's great. That works for some people. I like to usually have some kind of water container with me. So on some kind of bottle, it's kind of this out of sight, out of mind concept, right? So if I have the water where I can see it, I think about it, I drink it on a regular basis, and I'm not great about tracking the ounces. Again, do as I say, not as I do. But I know that if I have two of my really big containers of water, my really big jugs. What is that called? Cups. Anyways, if I have two of my big tumblers, that's what I was looking for, of water, I'm doing pretty good, right? If I get three, awesome. But that's kind of how I judge it. Have I drank through this? Have I had to refill it? Have I finished it again? And that's what I kind of go off of. But again, don't be strict about the rules with it. Just make sure you're drinking water regularly. It's good for you. Your body will thank you. It will feel good. Okay, so let's talk about some practical ways that you can be more in tune with your body. That's how we started the conversation today. You need to be in tune with your body to know what it needs, to see those little alarms that go off on the dashboard. This is how you can do that. So, first of all, you can do a body scan, and this is just a really simple way to check in with your body's physical needs. So, I know some people will set an alarm on their phone for, I don't know, 3 or 4 different times throughout the day where the alarm will go off and that'll be their signal. Oh, I need to do a quick body scan. You can leave post-it notes where you'll think of it, whatever works for you. But take just 30 seconds a few times a day to really just do a quick scan head to toe. Where am I feeling tension? Where am I feeling nauseous? Am I experiencing any like discomfort or fatigue? How am I doing physically right now? And it's good to ask yourself questions like, am I thirsty? Do I need to go refill my water? Do I need to go move my body? Am I feeling stiff and I've been sitting at my desk for 4 hours straight and I haven't gotten up to move around? Have I been clenching my jaw or do my shoulders feel tight? So these are all good things to be checking in with yourself. When I'm sitting here, I know, so I like start to hunch, right? So like roll my shoulders back, move a little bit. When I finish this, I'm going to get up and stretch, but just good to check in with yourself. It doesn't have to be a complicated process. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. 30 seconds is good. Key here is once you do the check in with your body, try to do something simple to follow up to kind of help that situation, right? Second thing you can do is really understand your energy levels. So some people might like to use a journal to help track this, or write in your notes in your phone, or again, have some kind of timer to go off to have you check in with yourself. But really, we want to be paying attention to patterns or these natural rhythms that your body has. When do you feel most energized? When do you feel sluggish? Are you a morning person who wants to get up in the morning and go, 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 knock some really important things out of the way, and then enjoy the rest of the time to relax and do whatever? Or are you someone who is like my mom and feels like it's a small trauma when you wake up in the morning and then you need to, have some time to drink your coffee and do your little calling her out so much in this episode. I'm sorry. I love you. Play your word games, whatever you need to do, wake up. And then by the time it's like late morning or lunchtime, you're ready to do more things. What is that for you? Everyone is going to be different, but find a way to notice those patterns and what those natural rhythms are for you and try to use that to your advantage to plan your day. Okay. So adjust your daily routines as you need to based on those natural rhythms rather than trying to force productivity at times when it is not good. I'll use an example for myself. When I was in my PhD program, I would often stay up later than I needed to, wake up just in time to get to my classes, do my classes. I'd be tired in the afternoon. So I'd want to, chill or whatever. And then I'd end up having inevitably to do my assignments and things late at night, which is not when I should have been doing my work. I am much more of a morning person. It would have been much better for me to go to sleep at an early or a decent hour, wake up feeling energized in the morning, get some work done, then go to class, and then enjoy my afternoon off when I just, can do whatever. That's not how I structured it. If I went back, I would probably encourage myself to do it that way, but here we are. We made it through it. But now I know my mornings are usually the really like the best time for me to try and get things done when I'm trying to be really productive. So anyways, it's just good to know that about yourself and then try to apply that in the best way that works for you and your schedule and your needs. The last thing that you can do is focus on creating those micro habits that we've talked about before. So what are small changes that you can do that are going to help move you in the better direction rather than focusing on having to do some huge overhaul, right? So if it's, I want to drink 100 ounces of water in a day, that might feel really overwhelming and like a really big goal that you're not sure that you can accomplish. But if you say, you know what, when I wake up in the morning, instead of starting my day with a cup of coffee, I'm first going to have 6 to 8 ounces of water. drink that real quick, and then I'll allow myself to have coffee. And a quick side note about that, I've noticed that when I start the day with water instead of coffee, I end up drinking a lot more water throughout the day. I don't know what that is. There's probably something scientific to it, and maybe we can do an episode on that in the future. But I do know that that has worked for me. So, but that's an example of, instead of making it something that's big and overwhelming and daunting, of just something little that's a small micro habit that you can put into place to help you start moving in a healthier direction. The big thing with micro habits is to remember that consistency is key. And so, just like we talked about last week, self-care is something that should be routine, that you're doing on a daily basis, and a habit, not something that is special or unique or a reaction to stress, but rather something that you're doing in a proactive way that's helping you to live a life of wellness overall and preventing those really difficult times from becoming even worse. You're going to encounter difficult times. If you have a good routine of self care, it's going to help you manage those times when they do come up. Okay, so that is what we have for today. I want to challenge you to think about maybe just one area where you are not listening to your body in the best way that you could, and ask yourself, how could I do a better job of listening to my body this? What is one small way that you can listen to your body and tune in with what your body's needs are in a more effective or efficient way this week? So you could ask yourself things like, where am I ignoring my body's signals? What is an area where I can be more responsive to my needs? Maybe you're really good at noticing what your needs are, but you aren't great at responding to them. Okay, so what is it for you that you can work on? And then I would encourage you to experiment a little this week, and how you can change one small thing to help you have more energy and a better mood, and just kind of notice what you're doing and what kind of effect it's having on you physically and emotionally as well. So next week, we are going to dive into the psychological domain of self-care and how your thoughts and your emotions and your mental load all impact your well-being. So we will unpack that. Make sure you tune in for that. I would ask that you please leave a positive review for the show on whatever platform you're listening or watching Heart and Health Wellness. That would be a big help for getting the word out about the podcast. And then also, if there is something that you took away today that you thought was fun or interesting or challenging that you want to apply, leave a comment, send me a message, let me know what that is. And I really want to be able to encourage you and do this with you. And then also, if you could please share the episode with at least one other person that you think would benefit from listening to it and improving their own physical wellness, well-being through self-care. That would be a great way of helping me grow the show as well. So again, thank you so much for being here. And I am always open to feedback. Send me an email at heartandhealthpodcast@gmail.com and let me know what you think or what you want to hear covered in the future. Obviously, I have some things planned out, but I want this to be a resource that is helpful to you and gives you the tools and resources that you need, especially when you're not able to do your own therapy and you're trying to contribute to your wellness by listening to something like this. Let me help you, and help me help you by letting me know what you want to hear. All right, that is all I have. Until next time, take care of yourself and be well.